Have Wilson just launched a serious challenger to the tailor-made P790? Let's find out. Welcome back to the Golfalot channel. I'm George Stead. Today in my hands I've got the new Wilson Staff Model XB irons, okay? So in the Staff Model range you've got the blades, the kind of typical player's blade, really for better players. You've then got the CB, again still for better players, but just with that slight cavity, a little bit more forgiveness in there. And then you've got now this new iron in the range. This is the XB, okay? So slightly bigger, slightly larger footprint, slightly more forgiving, more aimed around distance. It's a hollow head construction, it's not forged, and it's not going to be used by those better players because these will probably be too long, too hot. But as I said at the start of the video, can these irons challenge P790, really the benchmark for this kind of player's distance, hot distance iron that's still in that player's package? That's what Wilson are trying to do with the new Staff Model XB. I think these look great. Just looking at them straight away, we'll get more into it in a minute, but straight off the bat, these look really, really smart. So I'm excited to test these out and see how they perform here at Clubhouse Golf. I want to get straight into the looks because I think this iron looks awesome. I really do. It's got this brushed finish to it. It's got kind of sleek, modern lines. It looks like a real player's package. And this Staff Model brand, what Wilson have tried to do over the last few years is make it its own brand in a way, outside of Wilson Staff. You know, they've made little kind of premium tweaks like taking the WS out of the shield there and just kind of clean the whole thing up to try and make it feel like a more desirable player's premium package. And I think looking at this iron, even though it's a distance iron, there's a bit of forgiveness in there, it looks really, really smart. You've got the classic Wilson branding on the hosel there. There's not much to it. I like the lettering there on the top. It's really, really smart. And when you compare that to the actual Staff Model blade, which is obviously a lot smaller, there's not too much between them apart from the size, to be honest with you. And I like that. So this is a really, really good looking iron. You've got to say that. So I'm looking forward to seeing the performance as well and see if it matches up. Okay, so the way we're going to test them is I've got the 9 iron, the 7 iron and the 5 iron, and we're just going to hit a couple of shots. I'm going to give you my feedback, what I think of them, and then we're going to go into 7 iron. We're going to hit a ton of balls and then look at the data and give you my final thoughts. We'll start here with the 9 iron. We've got the quad set at 150 yards and just give you my thoughts. Down by the ball, the shape of these irons, although it's not big, it's quite a thin top line, they've got the really rounded shape. And I'm not quite sure whether I'd like it or not, to be honest with you. It's not bad, but I'm just not used to it. The lines, as I say, are quite rounded. It's quite friendly in a way. Okay, 9 iron, first hit with the Staff Model XB. Well, I would say straight away, it feels quite firm. It feels quite hard. Okay, moving on to the 7 iron now. Down by the ball, it's still got that rounded shape to it. It's not the biggest head in the world. The blade length isn't too long, which I quite like. And I do like that kind of narrow top line. It looks good, but this shape is still a little bit not something I'm used to. Let's give it a hit. That wasn't my best strike. I pushed that a little bit. It's still gone 170 yards. I think it pitched around 160, 165. I think we can hit a better one than that. It's forgiving though. What I would say is, it feels firm off the face. You can just feel that the face, the material feels quite hard. Just gonna hit one more with the 7 iron. Pulled that a tad, but that's gone miles. Yeah, so that's carried 174 yards, the total distance of 186. I did pull it a little bit, turned it over, so it's gonna go a little bit further, but that fell hot off the face. Okay, moving on to a 5 iron now. Down by the ball, I'm just starting to see a tiny little bit of cavity almost in the heel area. But apart from that, this does look good. They actually remind me a little bit of the irons I've got in the bag at the moment, the Titleist T250s. Not in the 9 iron and the 7 iron, but as I've got through to the longer irons, they've kind of got a similar shape into that. There's a little bit of offset in there as well, which is nice. I didn't strike that well at all. That was a bit of a slappy left one. As you can see, it's pitched up short, but it's still done really well for me in there. You can feel the forgiveness in the head at the strike. Not stroked those two that well at all, but there's some help there, definitely. All right, so I'm gonna get into the data testing now. 10 shots with the 7-iron, and then we'll have a look at the numbers and I'll give you my overall thoughts. Gotta say, the dispersion so far, that one there that I've just hit was kind of the first outlier, just missed the green to the right, but everything else feels consistent, they feel easy to hit. I'm enjoying hitting these. These are gonna perform well for a lot of golfers. Okay, that's my 10 shots. Let's look at the data. Looking at the data, again, I'm really impressed by these irons. I wanna start with kind of the accuracy. My average offline in yards is 0. So literally, I'm hitting it as consistently left and right and straight as possible, yeah? Really good. In the 10 shots I hit, the average distance in feet from the pin is only 23 feet. Again, I'm a 7 handicap golfer, not perfect in any way, shape or form. Those numbers are really good for me. In terms of carry, 167, to be honest with you, that's the only slight disappointment I've seen with these irons. With how much Wilson are talking about how hot they're gonna be, you know, that hollow-headed design. I've gotta say, I thought that carry with a 7-iron would be a little bit more, but you've got to take into account the loft. Now, the loft of that 7-iron was 32 degrees, okay? So actually, P790 I think is 30.5 or 31. So what I'm saying is Wilson could have cranked that a little bit stronger, so it's quite refreshing to see a hot iron like this, still with not traditional lofts, nowhere near, but not super strong, kind of 29, 30. And that then leads me on to the spin, because that's reflected in the spin, because I was averaging 5,700 with spin, which is really good. You're not gonna get those kind of rocket 4,000, 4,500 rockets that you can't control, that you don't want with an iron. You want control with your iron, you want still quite high spin. You don't want it too high so you're losing it up in the air, but you still want a consistent level of spin to get spin on the green and to maintain the control with your iron play. That's what you want. You want precision, not just out and out distance on every single shot. Overall, I have really enjoyed testing these irons. I think they perform well. I think they look great. I think they're an iron that Wilson needed, and I think they've done a great job of kind of filling that gap within the staff model lineup. I'm slightly disappointed by the total distance and the carry numbers. I thought they might be a little bit hotter, but as I say, they're not the strongest lofts in the world. I do think they will fall a little bit short if you're putting them up against P790 or maybe a Titleist 250. They're not going to fly as far in the air. They're just not as hot in that category. But again, I think that's down to the lofts and that higher spin, which I don't actually mind. It's not all about distance. They are hot, but they're not super hot is what I would say. Yeah, these are a great iron. I've enjoyed testing them. They felt a little bit hard, but I kind of got used to it as I was hitting more and more balls. But when those first couple I hit, they definitely just felt a bit hard off the face. So some might put some golfers off there. But overall, great looking, good performing iron from Wilson. Thank you so much for watching. You can find the full written review on golfalot.com. And as always, subscribe for more.